Hey, welcome back to the channel. Now, this is actually section 3 of the After Effects fundamentals, and in this section we're literally exploring the project panel and the composition. So without any further ado, let's get right into the tutorial. Today we're literally going to this is really the third episode of our tutorials in After Effects fundamentals. And firstly, in the first tutorial we explored what the toolbar was. I think the first one was the menu bar, and then the next one was the toolbar, and today we're literally exploring the project panel and then the composition, like stuff in the timeline, and it's gonna be kind of cool. So firstly, to do with project panel, we'll put some sort of images, whatever the images are, we don't want to know. Apparently if you right click, I think it's right clicking IT. If you right click, you can create some sort of a new composition. Now this is literally the fourth way of creating a composition in After Effects. So as you can see, it goes to After Effects composition settings. The next one, we have the new folder, so we can create some sort of a new folder and literally put it in there. But I'm just going to just a better way of doing that, and we can create some sort of a new Photoshop file, new Cinema 4D file, or import multiple files and all kind of stuff. But we explore that actually in here. It still has the import and all kind of stuff. So most of the stuff we're talking about in here also existed in the file menu. Import recent stuff. Still we have the import and everything. So anyway, instead of using that left click and all that kind of stuff into a long story for me, right? So the better way is actually to just drag stuff around here, and we have some sort of a new folder, so I can just put them in here and just name the folder to anything I want to call it. Anyway, this is literally just to make the project panel kind of bit tidy. So you want to put all your footage in a particular kind of folder. So we can click here and then create a composition. So this is the fifth way of creating a composition in After Effects. Right here, we can literally come here and do some sort of a settings. These ones are a bit advanced. I won't talk about them now, but I'll talk about them later. So apparently I'm in 8 bits per channel. I think there's a time where I normally keep it in 32 bits per channel if I'm creating personal projects that I'm not going to share anywhere, right? But if I don't, I'm going to share like the project or something, I normally want to keep it 8 bits per channel because that's what most of the people are literally using, except the person who I'm going to share with, I've already told him I'm sharing it in 32 bits per channel. Otherwise, you cannot literally drag an 8 bits per channel into a 32 one, and the vice is true. So yeah, just have to keep it 8 bits per channel for now in this particular kind of tutorial. Right here, there's something called interpret footage. Now, if at all I'm having some footage, let me literally put footage of 60 frames per second in a composition that's literally kind of 30 frames per second. What I have to do is literally interpret it. So we shall see that in a bit. Lastly is that we can edit stuff that we can delete, not edit. We can delete stuff. I think deleting is editing in a sort. Anyway, we can delete stuff in the composition by just dragging them in here or just clicking on them and then click on delete. Either way. So anyway, we're going to create a new composition. So apparently I love using the UI in here to create a new composition. We're going to give it some sort of a composition name. So let me give it any name that I want. Any name that I want. So I've given it a name, so you can give it any name that you actually want. So I'm using the aspect ratio. Now this, we can just keep it custom. So I'm just going to put it anything. I'm going to put like the resolution that I want. So the resolution that I'm using apparently is 1920 by 1080 because that's what I would literally prefer for now. But you can put any resolution that you want depending on what you are doing. If you're literally doing like something for social media, you can put 1080 by 1080. All 1920 by 1080. Now this, what you see up here, they're literally presets that they already made. So this is just a name and it changes nothing. So I can lock the aspect ratio so that if I change anything up here, the height also changes, right? So yeah, let me just put it back to 1920 by 1080. The frame rate, I'm going to choose 30 frames per second or 29.97 or 25. I think literally that gives us a realistic smooth preview for our animation. You can literally keep it to, you can even crank it up to like 60 frames per second, but There's a challenge that normally happens that you cannot do quite a lot with it. I mean, the preview is kind of smooth, but it has some sort of challenges. I think I'll speak about them when we're literally talking about the frame rates in a separate tutorial. Anyway, the duration right here, the resolution I left to keep it kind of full. I can literally adjust it, in the interface while doing my animation. So apparently the durations, I can give it something like any kind of time that I want. So for now I want it to something like 20 seconds, and then the background I'm just going to give it something like a white. I think I love white, right? So that's it to do with all to do with the composition settings. So we've explored what the project plan actually is. So apparently what we're going to talk about is the timeline right here. So this is literally for zooming stuff up and down, right? I can put it 33%, 100% preview, and 200% and other kind of stuff. So let me just fit it, and I'm going to put some sort of a shape in here, right? I just left the shape to be in there. So anyway, the next one we can change from full to, this is why I said we can literally create a kind of, we can literally change zoom properties apparently. So let me just keep it like 400 because I want to demonstrate something. If you put it on something like quarter, as you can see, the resolution is a bit reduced, but the previews are a bit faster, right? So that's all to do with that. You can put it at something like full or half and other kind of stuff, depending on the kind of stuff that you're literally dealing with. Full has, you can see stuff like in full resolution, but the renderings or the animations are a bit not as fast as it would be in half or something. The next one is called adaptive. It's called resolutions. Like we can change. I normally love to keep it like off. I normally love to preview my final quality because I have some bit of good RAM. But by default, it's normally in adaptive resolution. So it literally changes. It juggles around automatically. It juggles around different resolution to give you the fastest smooth preview possible. So I normally love to keep it final quality because I want to see the final kind of animation. So if you put it in final quality, it normally shows you the full preview of the animation. The next one is literally toggling the background off and on. So we have in the composition, as you guys saw, we have this kind of background color. It's not an actual kind of background, but it's literally for preview purposes, right? So this is still not a background. As you can see, the background literally has nothing. So if I tell you are rendering this, it won't render with the background. So let me just put some sort of an actual background. I'm going to use a shortcut called Ctrl-Y to put a background, and I'm going to keep it some sort of a gray, And right now we have a background behind. So if I toggle it off and on, as you can see, it shows that there's nothing in there. We have like a background in there. Yeah, so that's what actually that does. So the next one is actually a mask preview kind of a thing. So if I click on this shape and create some sort of a mask, right here I've created a mask. As you can see, I can literally preview that mask controls like on and off, so that's what actually that tool actually does. So let me delete that mask because we don't need them. The next one is literally it's for setting the composition. Let me see the name, give it to it, region of interest. So anyway, I can create some sort of region of interest. I can be like, this is what I actually want to see, right? And then after like creating some sort of region of interest, I can come to the composition and be like, crop to region of interest. As you can see, it has cropped everything to the region of interest, right? And now if I go back to the composition settings, Ctrl-K is the shortcut I've actually used. As you can see, it's actually 816 by 844, right? So I can literally just put it back to 1920 by 1080. Let me unlock the aspect ratio, and voila, we are back to the kind of aspect ratio that we had before. So that's what the region of interest does. The next one is for enabling title action safe, all the grids, guides and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what it actually does. If at all you want to enable the grids and guides and rulers, I love rulers, I normally use them. So yeah, that's what it actually does. The next one, I created some sort of a composition. I think I deleted it. but this way previewing stuff. Apparently we're previewing with the red, green and blue. Let me just duplicate this a bit. Okay, so that was great, and let me create some sort of a red one and then the blue one, just to show us what actually that does. So whatever is literally, now if I just click on the red, it's just going to preview the red one in some sort of a way to show us this is literally the red pixels. As you can see, all the stuff in blue and green are literally in black, and then the one which is red is actually, you know, the one being seen. If I click on green only, as you can see, shows us the stuff with the shape with the green pixels. If I click on blue only, it shows us the stuff with the blue pixels. If I click on alpha, it shows us like stuff without the background. So if I just remove the background, it shows us like the elements which don't have the background, you know, which are literally, you know, separate from the background. So I don't know where you're going to, you know, use this, but just keep it RGB. The next one is, you know, for increasing the exposure. So this is literally preview exposure. I think this works best if I put some sort of images in here. So I have some sort of images, and these images were shot in 4K, so they are a bit large. They were not shot in 4K. I'm lying. Okay. So anyway, I can literally increase the exposure. As you can see, this is literally the exposure preview. So I can literally increase the exposure or reduce the exposure. This literally does nothing to the image. It just does everything to my preview, like how I want to preview stuff, but the image itself is not affected, right? Yeah, so that's what the exposure literally does. I'm going to put it back to the preview, to the default one. The next one is that we're having like this stuff that literally takes photos, right? So let me just leave this, and if at all I take some sort of a photo right here, and then probably move the shape in the timeline, I can have, like, you know, different kind of comparisons between where the shape was and where the shape is. So here we can literally move the time, like apparently we have the timeline right here, so we can just move stuff in the timeline. As you can see, it literally changes once we move it around. So that's all to do with the composition, my friend, and the project panel. I think the rest we're going to explore them when we start dealing with animations. That's to do with the effects, and then just down here. Down here, I think we shall make some sort of a separate tutorial to do with it, but let me just talk about it in a bit, right? We have different shapes. Now, these are literally the layers in the timeline, and the layers have like different kind of modes. Now, these are literally blend modes. If you change them, if you've used like Photoshop before, you know what blend modes literally are. I think I'll talk about them in different kind of tutorials and other kind of stuff. So the next one, we have the track mate and other kind of stuff to show explore what track mate is. I think this is quite a lot for now. I won't talk about them right now. I think I'll do some separate tutorial about it. So that, my friend, is all to do with our project and the composition panel. I'm just want actually this to be talked about like as fast as possible, because they're fundamental, and if somebody does not know about them, it's very hard to follow along with different kind of tutorials, and I just found it expedient to, you know, have them talked about before we get into the keyframes and animations and all kind of stuff. So that, my friend, is all to do with the project panel and the composition. I think lastly, I'm going to make just one last section talking about this, and then we shall proceed in the tutorials straight away.